Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, welcome back to Geekin' Out's Therapy Sessions. I'm your provider, Don Prime. In tonight's session, we're going to be talking about collector burnout. But before we speak on that subject, just a few things we'd like to go over. First and foremost, if you like and enjoy our content here at Geekin' Out, again, please comment, like, subscribe, and again, on any of these videos for the therapy sessions, leave suggestions for us, because we'd be more than happy to talk about any topics that we may not have reached yet or we're not even thinking of. Again, anything that you think is relevant and we need to discuss or may be particularly known in the community, just leave a comment, and we'll look over the ideas and then we'll tackle what we what we can do. And then more so, for if you want to see some really good spy stuff from our Bothan spies, you want to be up to date, want to have some good intel on figures, where to get good prices on stuff of that nature, head on out to 6 Scale Survival Guide. Again, we are just community collectors like you, just like our spies, and we're doing this for you, the people. Again, giving you an opportunity to get an inside outlook on, potential figure releases, give you a heads up on when stuff is actually being released on pallets, and any other third-party figures we think you may enjoy. Going forward, we did get our first batch of the Geeking Out first edition stickers. So these will be New York Comic-Con. There will be a few of us there. So, when we figure out where we're going to do meetups or anything like that, we'll have some of these on us. Stop on by, say hi, we'll give you some. And then if we have any left over after the con, we'll see about giving them out, giveaways, or just, again, it all depends on how many we have left. But again, this would just take care of that minor business. Alrighty, so this session is going to be about collector burnout. Now, we've all been at that moment where we're at our wits' end, where we don't know if collecting is for us anymore, if it's worth the time, worth the aggravation, and worth the money. And it could be for a whole different number of reasons, because not everybody's burnout is the same. Again, it could be from things like you're not getting what you like. And what I mean by that is you see something from Hottoys. You see the promotion, the prototype pics. You see promotional pics. You see updates. You see potential, newer versions of prototypes at conventions. Then the item releases, and then you actually get it in your hands. And it's not what you're expecting. It didn't live up to your expectations. There are things that didn't check the boxes for you. And again, when a few of those have come and you're expecting one thing, that can potentially burn you out. You're not happy, you don't feel like your money's being well spent. The whole number of reasons, and it's not a quality control issue, it's an expectation issue. And then again, on that end, you could be getting too many figures that have quality control issues. And again, you're paying a certain amount of money for these figures. You should expect a certain level of quality control. Again, Nate, he had an Iron Man figure he had to send back, I believe at least 6 or 7 times, if not more, because there was quality control issues. And again, on a die-cast Iron Man, when you're spending minimum $330 to $380, it's something that's going to aggravate you, and if you have to keep dealing with those same issues, that's going to burn you out as well. And then another thing is, either there's too many figures in a line for you to collect, or there's not enough figures in a line for you to collect. Now, that may sound contradictory, but again, if you want to go deep into a line and they've only made certain figures, and then they just stop, you kind of lose confidence in it, An example of that would be the QMX Star Trek line. They did a lot of the original series. They did prototypes for some of the movie series where, I believe it was like Wrath of Khan, where it was Admiral Kirk and Captain Spock in their Class A Starfleet uniforms. But the line just stopped, and then a lot of those production people went over to X06. Or there could be too many figures coming in a line. An example of that would be the current Mandalorian line. You might be one person that you absolutely love the Mandalorian. You're not a completionist, but you just, because of what the Mandalorian potentially means to you, or a revival of Star Wars, you're going to try and get everyone that you can. And it gets to a point where you can't keep up. You got to make sacrifices. You have to adjust things. And it just drains on you. And at that point, you're not having fun. It's draining you. I mean, the point of collecting is to enjoy yourself, to take yourself out of reality for that moment, that hour. You just sit with figures, you pose with them, you take photography shots. It's, again, these are supposed to be an escape. And when they're causing you to be burned out to such a point where you're potentially thinking about quitting and selling your figures, or, you know, just stopping completely and not putting another dollar in, I mean, that's understandable. And especially now, with the way that things are going because of the world conditions, costs are rising. Shipping times are going out the window because of the, you know, everything going on. There's no shipping containers. There's no available, you know, spot on boats if you have a container. And as, you know, Denobi rightfully said, the toy apocalypse is now upon us, especially with Hot Toys bumping up release dates, or, well, we potentially think they're bumping up release dates on some of the figures to include, you know, some of the higher priced ones like the Boba Fett 2-pack, which at $500, especially we're coming up at Christmas, or, you know, some of us are going to New York Comic Con. Those, you know, bumped up dates, they're going to affect a lot of our wallets. They're going to affect, you know, our budgets, because, you know, even with people who have spreadsheets, they have payment plans, they're going to project what they're going to spend in a certain month. Hot Toys, you know, if they are bumping everything up, or certain figures up, that is going to affect people's bottom line. That's going to, you know, again, shift payments. That's going to make things priorities versus non-priorities. And again, that's another thing that can lead to burnout, because, again, this is supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be enjoyment, not running a balance sheet determining what figures are going to be bought, which ones are going to, you know, have to be put on the wayside, which ones are going to be canceled. And again, those are things not just directly related to Hot Toys. I mean, it can be any type of collectible figure, it could be any type of statue. It's just the unfortunate issue that the world we're living in is leading to a lot of these burnout issues. And unfortunately, we as the general collector, we can't do anything. And with these issues, again, the shipping issues, and especially with Sideshow, they can't sell you what they don't have. They can't unpack when the boat doesn't have a slot to get into the harbor at LA or Long Beach. So it's the world we live in, and we can do one of two things. We can let it eat it up inside. We can, you know, affect our brains and how we can do. Or it's the unfortunate thing is we have to accept it. Like Lando, you don't like it, you don't think it's fair, but you accept it because unfortunately there's nothing else you can do about it. And if you try, again, like Pacific Rim, if you try to fight the hurricane, you're going to lose every time. And it's going to affect you mentally to the point where this, again, it's not fun, it's not enjoyable. And for the foreseeable future, the status quo is the normal right now of long delays and issues getting certain figures and certain supplies. And again, the supply issue is not just to, you know, Hot Toys or toys in general. It's worldwide things, anywhere from, you know, microchips from computers and cars, you know, to certain products that are needed to make, you know, certain foods and, you know, other chemicals and stuff. So it's just an unfortunate world we're living in right now, and we're going to have to change. It's adapt or die. And collecting, unfortunately, is moving the business model of collecting is changing a lot faster than we as the collectors not only want to, but almost willing to accept. But at the same token, it's if you don't accept it, you're kind of going to be shifted out of the game, especially if you're someone who collects a lot of Star Wars or Marvel, potentially, depending on what the figure is and how old it is and the rarity. And it's just, unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with it like the rest of us. And again, how you deal with that, it's all up to you, and it's just healthier and more enjoyable in the long run if you just, unfortunately, accept the fact and deal with it. But, and with that being said, when you do get those figures, they're going to potentially mean all that more to you because you've waited for them. You've endured the wait. Again, just like for Captain Rex, by the time you finally get him in your hands, you're going to feel like you went on a mission with him. So he's going to mean all that much more to you. And like put Ahsoka next to him, it's just going to mean all that more. Now, the caveat with all this is that if you are burned out, just sit back and take a break. You might be mad, you might be, feeling let down, so to say. Just take a break, relax, reflect, or don't even think about it for a couple of days, a week or so. And just reset yourself and allow yourself time for the collecting part, just to get your mind right. You don't want to make any decisions, on selling items, getting rid of things in the heat of the moment. Again, just like you don't want to buy things emotionally, off the cuff, without research, an impulse buy. You don't do an impulse sell because, you're mad that, one thing happened and then it's going to cause a cascading event. I had Grievous ordered. I bought CCFL sabers, which I already have. I've got a 212 display already, partially pre-built. And then Grievous, that situation happened. So, it's either I can be mad, I can scrap my plan, I can scrap my plans, or I can adapt them to, the current situation. Again, just sit back, think about what really you want to do. But the caveat with that being is you sit back and reflect. That also leads to potentially an evolution or a modernization of your collection. Now, again, after you've taken your time to focus, you can do a collection review, where you're going to look at your collection as a whole. And then potentially you can start with, I've done it, what I call a purge. You're selling figures potentially for a multitude of reasons. They no longer fit what you're going for. You bought them because they were accessory pieces, but they really don't have a need in your collection. Or, again, for both those reasons, or you want to sell some items to fund further figures. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, just taking the time, you want to make sure you are fully aware of what you're going to do, because if you sell something, you might not get it back again, or if you do, you might have to pay 2 to 3 times the price at retail what you paid for it to get it back. And again, and that's all. And when you're doing that, it's almost a time to ask yourself, again, with a specific line, doesn't matter if it's DC, if it's Marvel, if it's Star Wars, it can be, other lines with other companies. But you basically have to ask yourself, are you going to recommit or are you going to decommit? Because you can't lie to yourself. Because, again, if you're going to be all in on a certain line, you kind of have to make that commitment. And if you're not willing to make that commitment, you should kind of just basically decommit right then. Be happy with what you have, and don't worry about, completing the line. Don't worry about hunting down that next pre-order. Again, Hot Toys are one thing. I know other companies, though, like Exo 6 and their Star Trek figures. They're literally going to sold. Pre-orders are sold out sometimes within 72 to 96 hours at some places. So again, it's one of those situations. If you're gonna commit, you need to commit. If you're not gonna commit, again, like I said, decommit, be happy, and just release yourself from that line. So it's not weighing on you. You don't think about it in a negative sense. Just, again, it's all up to you. Just have a plan and focus on specifics. The specific being, what does your collection mean to you? What's the goal of your collection? And most importantly, everyone has burnout periods. People have probably, again, and I've had multiple periods where you're essentially burned out from any reason. And that's fine. The key thing is, take that time, reflect. Don't buy anything, don't sell anything, but just see what you have in your collection and merge your ideas with what you have and what you can do. And sometimes just thinking about it, putting it down on a piece of paper, writing something out, just plotting what you want is a lot better than just thinking about it in your head. Once you put it down on paper, it will be more real, as weird as that may say. And again, so just the basic grasp of this idea, of this theory, is we're all going to get burned out in one way or another. It might be sooner for some people, it might be later, but it's going to happen for one reason or another. Just, again, the key is don't do anything in a harsh, immediate fashion just based on reactions. So like again, it said in closing, with our therapy videos, we're just going to do basic topics we think are relevant to you, the people in our community. So if you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, and definitely comment. And like before, leave suggestions of what you would like to see covered. We'll do our best to cover anything. We'll talk, everybody within the group, see what topics we need to cover, which might be more precedent at the time, and we'll go from there. So it's probably be a few weeks for another therapy video with New York Comic Con coming up. We're still getting prepped for that. So again, we've got the 6 scale survival page up on Facebook. We have a few of us going to Comic-Con. We'll be giving away our first edition stickers, so come on out and say hi. And I mean, ultimately, the key is your collection is supposed to mean something to you. It's not supposed to burn you out. But even when it does, don't act rash, don't hulk out, and don't do something you're going to regret. So, again, folks, thank you very much for watching us, and have a great day, evening, morning, night, wherever you and whenever you are watching. And again, thanks for joining us. Have a good one.